I'm Reverend Spaceman, and tonight I saw Jurassic World, so I thought I'd get my thoughts out about that. Um, this isn't really in any kind of professional review type format. I'm just kind of gonna talk about it because I'm no way a critic, so I'm gonna talk about it as an average viewer, and I'll just go ahead and give you a spoiler warning. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna talk about some plot details, and probably not in too much depth, but enough to give it away if you haven't seen it. So I'll start with the bad. Um, Even to this day, nothing, and I haven't seen Jurassic Park in a while, but to this day, nothing in any dinosaur monster type movie has really been as convincing as the original Jurassic Park. And it's this movie's own biggest fault for me, that the gratuitous use of CGI. And I hate to be one of those people that bitches about CGI, because it's really not something that bothers me. It's not something I had an issue with in this film so much on its own, only in comparison to the original. But the CGI was, state of the art. It was just fine. It was, better than fine. It was some of the best I've seen today, but it still looked like CGI. And as pretty much everyone who's talked about Jurassic Park on the internet has said, the best thing that the original did was mix up animatronics and CGI in a way that tricks your eye, so you never know if you can always tell if you're looking at an animatronic or CGI because they blend together. So that's I think the biggest downfall of this movie. The other biggest problem I had were the kids. And that's partly just me. I just don't like kids at all, really. Terminator 2 was a great movie, but I still kind of hated the kid in it. Real Steel, I like that well enough, but I hated the kid. I hate Shia LaBeouf in Transformers. I hate that stupid teenage girl in Transformers 4. And they really didn't need to be in this. If this was just a movie about Chris Pratt, taming some dinosaurs to fight other dinosaurs, or however you want to do it, great. But that kind of brings me to my other fault. In general, the characters weren't as fleshed out as you would expect from Jurassic Park 1. I mean, this is definitely the sequel that Jurassic Park 1 deserves more so than any of the other sequels. And I'd have to say overall, on many technical levels, this one is better. The scope. Well, I guess this will bring me into the positives now. The scope of this movie was amazing. The introduction of new dinosaurs, and new prehistoric life in general was done very well. I had a blast seeing it. I saw it in IMAX, so with every roar, like my bones just shattered, and it was amazing. So I definitely recommend seeing it in the biggest theater possible. I did see it in 3D, and I'm not one to bitch about 3D, nor am I to bitch about CGI. I'd say you could take or leave the 3D. I mean, it's not outwardly bad like a lot of movies 3D might be, but it's not anything particularly great either. So, you can take or leave 3D, but if you do choose to see it in 3D, I wouldn't say it takes away from the experience any, and it does add some gravity to some of the more suspenseful scenes, and that's another thing this movie did really well, was the suspense. The just the shots of were a little more close in angle. They kind of Godzilla the new dinosaur for a while, and I liked that. I loved Godzilla. I'd say I liked Godzilla better than this, but I still did enjoy this movie, but the new dinosaur, uh, uh, something Rex, Dominus Rex or something. They kind of sneak it around a little bit. They don't show it outright for a while, much like the new Godzilla did, and much like old Godzilla movies do, despite what some people might say about them. And it works to its favor because it's a Jaws type thing, where just the unknown about it is just as scary as you know being there. I get probably I wouldn't say as scary, but it adds to that feel of suspense and not knowing what you're in for that a lot of movies miss, and this one pulled it off. It worked for me. It worked to kind of get me on the edge of my seat a little bit. I actually audibly gasped a few times in this movie, and that's not something I do too terribly often. So I'd say the last times it's actually happened for me were Godzilla and Pacific Rim, probably the two most similar movies in recent years. So yeah, I would recommend this movie to anyone that likes Jurassic Park or anyone who likes giant stuff fighting other giant stuff. You get to see that. Yeah, and here's another thing they did. They really fleshed out the park. It's the same island, and we actually it's definitely the same island because we actually see some scenery from the first movie kind of return, and it's a much different take to see it, how it would to see it actually with guests and with a crowd, and how dangerous that could be if just the little thing went wrong, which I guess brings me to another negative I forgot to bring up. And this is diminished in this movie compared to say Prometheus, but the people running the place are have made some neglectful security choices, such as not well, yeah, when the new big bad dinosaur appears to have vanished from its whole pen, its pen, I guess, its pen, where it's kept. They don't even think to check the tracker that's embedded in its skin until after Chris Pratt goes in there with two other red shirts to see where it is, and then they find out they only check their cameras and their thermal sensors for it, and then they're like, thermal and the cameras aren't picking it up, it's gone. And then like 20 minutes later, it's like 2 minutes real time, but presumably about 20 minutes in universe pass, and they check the tracker embedded in its skin, like, oh shit, it's there. So little stuff like that, but I mean, I don't like to nitpick that stuff because without it, you really have no movie. So I guess I'll wrap this up. That's about all I really have to say about it. I liked it. I had a lot of fun. The IMAX experience helps, but it's not one of those movies where it's really required. So if you've watched this without having seen the movie and the mild-ish spoilers haven't ruined it for you, yeah, go see it. You'll have fun. This is Reverend Spaceman. You can find me on Twitter at RevSpaceman. Later.